The moon was a silver coin tossed into the velvet ocean of the night, its glow spilling softly over the ancient city of mirrors. Somewhere between reality and the whispering world of dreams, a quiet pulse of magic stirred, delicate, beautiful, and utterly fragile. This was not the realm of mortals, nor of gods, but of memories long forgotten and dreams waiting to be born. And at the heart of it all stood Xiao Zhan, the Dream Archivist, the keeper of lost visions, guardian of the human subconscious. He wandered through corridors built of glass and starlight, each step echoing softly against the silence. Around him, countless dream spheres floated in slow spirals, glowing orbs that held within them the fragments of humanity's desires, fears, and longings. Every dream had a story. Every flicker of light held an emotion too powerful to vanish. And it was Xiao Zhan's duty to archive them before they were swallowed by oblivion. His touch was gentle as he placed one orb upon a pedestal, the dream of a little girl who wished to fly. Her laughter shimmered faintly within the sphere, and Xiao Zhan smiled, faintly touched by its innocence. But his smile faded when the wind of distortion swept through the hall, a strange ripple that made the dreams flicker and hum. Something or someone was altering the balance. He turned, sensing a shadow moving between the mirrors. The figure was sharp, poised, wrapped in black and silver. Wang Yibo, the dream breaker. His role was the mirror opposite of Xiao Zhan's. Where Zhan preserved, Yibo dismantled. Where one gathered light, the other dispersed it into the void. Yet their fates were eternally intertwined, like twin threads woven through the fabric of creation. Yibo's eyes gleamed like ice. "You shouldn't be here tonight," he said, his voice low but firm. "This dream is collapsing. Let it fade." Xiao Zhan's gaze didn't waver. "Every dream deserves to be remembered," he replied, brushing a glowing strand of light between his fingers. "Even the broken ones." For a heartbeat, silence reigned, a silence heavy with old memories. There was once a time they stood side by side, protecting the boundary between dreams and reality. But something had shattered between them. Promise. Betrayal. A secret neither dared to speak aloud. The air around them cracked like lightning. The dream orbs began to tremble, flickering between brilliance and shadow. Yibo's expression hardened. "You can't save them all, Zhan. And you can't destroy what still breathes," Zhan retorted. Then the world itself split open. They were pulled into a flood of shifting visions. Skies made of molten color, oceans that whispered names, forests growing upside down. Dreams layered upon dreams, blurring into an endless tapestry of imagination. Xiao Zhan's robes flared as he stabilized the distortion, his hands weaving ribbons of silver light. Yibo countered with arcs of black fire, cutting through the tangled illusions. They weren't fighting each other, not yet. They were fighting the dream storm itself, a tempest born of forgotten souls. But every time their powers collided, the storm grew hungrier, feeding on the friction between them. "Stop resisting me," Yibo shouted over the chaos. "You'll tear it all apart." Xiao Zhan's voice trembled, not with fear, but with emotion. "Then let it break, if it means finding the truth." The storm devoured them whole. When the dust settled, Xiao Zhan awoke in a place that wasn't real, a fragment of an old dream. The sky shimmered with watercolor hues, and the air smelled faintly of jasmine and rain. In the distance, a house stood, the same house from a dream he once archived years ago. And there, sitting quietly by the window, was a younger version of himself. He froze. The boy looked up, eyes full of wonder. "You came back," the child said softly. "I've been waiting." Before Xiao Zhan could respond, the door creaked open, and Wang Yibo stepped inside. But this Yibo looked different. There was no coldness in his gaze, no shadow of the dream breaker, only calm sorrow. "This is where it started," Yibo murmured. "Do you remember?" Memory flooded back like a river bursting its banks. This dream wasn't just another archive. It was their dream, the one they built together when the dream realm was still whole. A sanctuary of imagination where every soul could rest, untainted by fear or loss. But when corruption began to spread through the dream network, when nightmares began consuming the pure, the council ordered it to be destroyed. Ba obeyed. Zhan resisted. And the world of dreams split in two. You destroyed what we built, Xiao Zhan said bitterly. Yibo's eyes darkened, but his voice was quiet. I tried to protect it. You don't destroy a dream by choice, Zhan. You do it because if you don't, it consumes everything. Xiao Zhan clenched his fist, emotion surging. You still don't understand. A dream doesn't destroy, it heals. It's people who abandon it that make it rot. For a long moment they stood in silence, the sound of the wind whispering between them. Then Yibo raised his hand, summoning a small fragment of glass that floated between them. Within it shimmered the image of two silhouettes, two boys beneath a willow tree, laughing as they shaped clouds into dragons. Our first dream, Yibo said softly. Before the council. Before the rules. The glass trembled, then cracked, and from that fracture light began to spill. All around them the dreamscape shifted. The house dissolved into petals of memory, and the sky opened to reveal an ocean of light. Millions of dream spheres hovered above, each one containing faces, voices, stories, the shared subconscious of humanity itself. Some glowed brightly, others dimmed and flickered, struggling to survive. This is what's left, Yibo whispered. A dying archive. Xiao Zhan stepped forward, his eyes blazing with determination. Then let's rewrite it. Yibo's gaze lifted sharply. Rewrite the archive. That's forbidden. Even for us. I'm done following rules that were meant to silence hope, Zhan said, his voice trembling with passion. If dreams can die, then they can also be reborn. But not by destroying, by remembering. And for the first time in what felt like centuries, Yibo hesitated. Beneath all his discipline, all his training as a dream breaker, he still remembered what it felt like to believe. The laughter beneath the willow tree. The shared promise to protect the dreams of others. Finally he nodded once. Then we do this together. As they joined hands, the world began to quake. Their opposing forces, creation and destruction, fused into a breathtaking harmony. Light and shadow twisted together, forming spirals of living energy. The archive began to pulse like a living heart, each dream sphere resonating with their combined power. But the system fought back. Alarms of golden light blared across the horizon as the Dream Council sentinels emerged. Towering beings made of crystalline thought, their voices echoing through the realm. Unauthorized reconstruction detected. They boomed. Terminate the anomaly. Yibo's grip tightened. We're out of time. Then let's make it count, Xiao Zhan said, smiling faintly. Together they unleashed everything. The storm had passed, but the air was heavy with echoes of what once was. The dream realm shimmered faintly in the aftermath, its skies bruised with colors no mortal eye could name, its ground strewn with fragments of broken visions. Yet amid the chaos, one figure stood tall, Xiao Zhan, the Dream Archivist. His robes whispering like silk through light and shadow. He wasn't just the keeper of dreams anymore. He was their last hope. Around him floated the remnants of 1,000 fading memories. Laughter trapped in crystal orbs, the scent of long-forgotten summers, the glow of love stories never told. The archive, once vibrant, now flickered like a dying heartbeat. Each dream called out to him, faint but desperate, and he could hear them all. He extended his hand toward one trembling sphere, the dream of a soldier who longed to return home. The image within flickered. A field of gold, a woman waiting by a window, a letter that never arrived. Xiao Zhan's eyes softened. He whispered a blessing, letting his power flow gently through the sphere. The dream steadied, glowing bright once more before floating back into the constellation of memory. But just as peace settled, the air trembled again. A ripple of darkness spread through the realm, soft, deliberate, alive. Xiao Zhan turned sharply. His heart recognized that energy before his eyes did. Yibo. He emerged from the horizon like a storm walking on two legs, the dream breaker, sharp and composed, his dark coat fluttering in the phantom wind. The faint light reflected off his eyes like shards of glass. There was no hostility in his gaze, only the quiet ache of someone burdened by duty. "You're rebuilding it," Yibo said, voice low but steady. "Someone has to," Zhan replied, his tone firm. "Dreams can't fade while I still breathe." Yibo exhaled softly. "You're defying the council." Again. Xiao Zhan's lips curved into a small, defiant smile. Some rules deserve to be broken. For a moment, silence stretched between them, thick with memory, tension, and unspoken emotion. The two men stood in the same light yet were separated by everything they once fought for. Then the silence cracked. A violent tremor shook the ground beneath them. The dream spheres began to spin faster, colliding in streaks of gold and blue. Xiao Zhan instinctively reached out to stabilize them, but Yibo moved first, his hand slicing through the air, drawing a pattern of silver sigils that froze the chaos mid-motion. Zhan stared, breathless. "You still remember the Guardian's seal?" Yibo gave a half-smile. "You're not the only one who learned from the old days." As the storm calmed, Xiao Zhan stepped closer, his gaze softening. "Then why destroy what you once swore to protect?" Yibo's jaw tightened. "Because I was ordered to. Because dreams were turning dangerous." His eyes flickered with old pain. "Because if I didn't, the nightmares would have consumed the living." Zhan's voice broke slightly, whispering. "And in doing so, you destroyed the beauty too." Their powers pulsed faintly between them, one silver, one shadow, each feeding off the other's presence. The scene shifted around them, pulled by their emotions. The broken archive transformed. The ground became a sea of glass, reflecting the cosmos above. Every step echoed like thunder. "You don't understand, Yibo," Zhan said, walking toward him. "Dreams are not just fantasies. They're memories of who we are, of who we can still become. When you erase them, you erase us." Yibo turned his head slightly, as if the words struck deeper than he wanted to admit. "And what happens when the dreams start fighting back?" Before Zhan could answer, the horizon burst open. From the edge of the dreamscape rose a swarm of black silhouettes, nightmares. They were shapeless, fluid, their forms constantly shifting, eyes blinking across darkness, claws dripping with fragments of stolen light. Yibo's hand went instantly to his weapon, a blade woven from shadow and thought. "They've breached the archive," he said coldly. "Then we fight," Zhan replied. "No," Yibo said, stepping forward. "I fight. You stay out of this." But Xiao Zhan didn't listen. He raised both hands, and in a surge of brilliance, dream light poured from his fingertips, weaving into celestial threads that bound the nearest nightmares in radiant chains. The creatures screamed, a sound like shattered glass, as light consumed them. Yibo glanced back, momentarily awed despite himself. "You've gotten stronger." Zhan smirked faintly, even as exhaustion began to weigh on him. "You trained me too well." The air became a battlefield of imagination, light and shadow dancing in deadly harmony. Yibo sliced through waves of nightmares with precise, elegant movements, each strike releasing explosions of silver fire. Zhan, beside him, summoned shields of light that shimmered like mirrors, deflecting attacks with bursts of color and sound. At one point, their powers clashed midair, silver flame meeting golden light. The collision erupted into a storm of starlight that illuminated the entire realm. For a fleeting second the world stood still. And in that stillness they looked at each other, truly looked. Past the battles, the anger, the betrayals, to the memory of two dreamers who once promised to protect this place together. Then came the final blow. A monstrous nightmare rose from the depths, taller than mountains, its body formed of twisted memories and lost hopes. It roared, shaking the foundations of the archive. "We'll never stop it alone," Zhan gasped. Yibo looked at him, eyes burning. "Then don't hold back." Together they moved, light and shadow entwining, opposites merging into something new. Xiao Zhan unleashed the full force of his archive, billions of dream fragments swirling around him like galaxies. Yibo poured his energy into focus, shaping the chaos into one perfect strike. Now! Zhan shouted. Their powers met in a single blinding explosion. The nightmare screamed once, and vanished into nothing. Silence fell again, broken only by the faint hum of the restored archive. The dream spheres floated peacefully now, their glow soft and pure. The air felt lighter, warmer, alive. Yibo lowered his weapon, breathing heavily. We did it. Xiao Zhan smiled faintly. We always do. They stood together beneath the reborn sky, no longer enemies but not quite allies yet. Something deeper lingered between them, something ancient, fragile, and unspoken. Yibo turned away first, his voice quiet. This doesn't change what we are, Zhan. Xiao Zhan looked at him, his expression unreadable. Maybe not. But it changes what we could become. As Yibo faded into the shadows once more, Xiao Zhan looked up at the sky, now full of glowing dream orbs twinkling like stars. He reached out to touch one, and it pulsed beneath his fingertips. The dreams are alive again, he whispered. And so is hope. The wind carried his words through the endless halls of the dream realm, gentle, eternal, and full of promise. Because as long as someone believed, dreams would never die. Sparkles, if you were moved by this powerful continuation of the Dream Archivist, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these dreamlike stories alive. And trust me, the next chapter will be even more breathtaking. Stay tuned. Sparkles.